Hey everyone, welcome. I'm back from Israel and we're going to do a slideshow today. I haven't done one of these. Well, I've only ever done one before, actually, I think. And that was when I went to China and it was a big hit. And people got to ask a lot of questions and we went more in depth and outside the videos because the videos are kind of a linear path of logic and the pictures allow us to expand on that. So we're going to cover a few things at the beginning here, and that is uh, comments and super chats and that kind of stuff. I'm not going to address till maybe the end, and we've got a lot of pictures, so they may never get addressed. So, the full disclaimer here: if you're going to super chat like $1 billion and I never address it, sorry about that. Keeping the show rolling. The next thing is we won't be talking about anything political or racism or anything like that. Zero tolerance here on the channel in general. You can go to your favorite Facebook group or wherever your outlet is for that and talk there. Here we talk about fish. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you haven't already, share it. Pull your grandma in. This is going to be a good, I think, trip for everyone. You know, there's not a whole lot of food pictures and stuff. It's mostly fish centered, but a lot of good stories I think will come out naturally. Even my wife has been like, tell me about it. And it's really hard when you do so many things in a row to remember all of it. And the pictures have really jogged my memory just going through them really quick. Like, oh yeah, I forgot we even went there. Because sometimes in a day we'd be traveling from basically 6 or 8 a.m. and we wouldn't get back to the hotel till 2 a.m. And in that day, there might have been 5 or 6 different things, whether they're fish farms, stores, speaking engagements, which I don't even. I only took pictures from my camera for this, so there's so many other pictures that I just realized I could have pulled in of what people have been sending to me about the events and stuff. But yeah, so we're gonna get started, and hopefully I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat just right at the beginning so that I make sure that when we go to the pictures and everything, it displays correctly and you can still hear me. When you set up all these new modes and stuff for a live stream, sometimes it can get a little wacky, and I just want to don't I don't want to go for 4 minutes and be like, oh, no one could hear me. That sucked. So, all right. Let me get lined up here. And here we go. So we're going to have me in the bottom corner here, and we're going to talk about all these slides. I think there is roughly 100 slides or pictures, whatever you want to call it. I tried to do it much fancier than this, and the system wasn't working, so we're doing it this way. And so yeah, you arrive at Israel, and you're welcomed by this, and already you're seeing different languages. So Hebrew is spoken a lot, as well as Arabic. And English, lots of English too. So I really had no problem communicating with pretty much anyone, which is great. And I think we arrived at like 9 o'clock at night. There was like a delay with my flight, so I arrived at about 9 o'clock at night. And from there, you know, the trip really started right from the get-go, like hit the ground running type of deal. There's gonna be little transitions in between. It's gonna look weird when it goes black, but so yeah, you hit customs, and already you're like, okay, choose the right lane. Don't want to get in trouble here. And you go to the left lane. We're not declaring anything. Not doing nothing crazy. You do have to answer a bunch of questions like, why are you here? What are you doing? And it always comes off weird. We're like, well, I'm here to give a fish talk. Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, I'm going to a fish store. What? So you do a lot of explaining. Yeah, I'm here for 7 days. It's, I basically explain it as I'm here to give some talks and vacation. And then they usually let you through. So, but we finally get to the other side, and there's a group of people waiting. I don't know how to pronounce a lot of the stores I went to because they're usually in Hebrew, so I don't know. But this was a store waiting for me. There was a wholesaler, also Chris Lukup in the back there, kind of a blurry picture. Took it real quick, and Shlomi actually owns this store, and we did a bunch of stuff with him, and I brought that board all the way back home with me because I thought it was super cool. First time I've ever been anywhere where there was a crowd waiting at the airport and had a sign made. So I definitely had to keep that because now it's gonna make it on my wall or something at this point. And I just thought it was super cool. So yeah, I had another point. Oh, I want to talk about the size of Israel because as an American, I find myself to be so maybe not as an American. I myself am fairly uneducated in the sizes of different countries and that kind of stuff. So when you say you're traveling to Israel, sometimes it sounds like crazy, like wow. And then you talk about how you can travel like all of Israel in a couple of days. Like, wait, how big is this place? And so Israel is about the size of New Jersey, so not that big of a place comparatively, right? You know, it just sounds, you know, if you say United States of America, we're huge. You say Canada, huge, right? But Israel, relatively small, one of our smaller states. So we actually ended up traveling all of Israel. So to go to such a small state, it'd be the equivalent of me flying, if you're in the US, me flying to your state, and then you guys having a group of people to meet me at the airport, which has never happened before. Usually it's one person, and it's a lot of like, oh, I don't even know who I'm meeting. And definitely was a good experience landing in Israel. Kind of set the tone for the whole trip. So, and what I didn't know is that we were kind of going to be working from the minute we landed. So here we're at a shop. This is at about 10:30 at night. So got off the plane, and at this point, flying on the plane was 14 hours basically, because like 2 hours to San Francisco and then another, like there's a little bit of layover, and then a 12-hour flight to Israel. So you got to imagine Corey, 14 hours on a plane, exhausted, and then like, oh sweet, like, and you can't say no because they're like, well, there's kind of a bunch of people waiting to meet you, and I was like, yeah, it's 10:30 at night. Okay, let's do this. So we showed up, absolutely packed store, and you know, a bunch of good people, and we, you know, it's goodies, and we signed a bunch of stuff, and you know, we stayed there for like an hour or so because it was getting late. You know, then it's like 11:30, and we were all kind of hungry. At least Chris and I were, from getting off the plane, and we were like, yeah, we could eat. So we ended up doing sushi. But yeah, you can kind of see that big turnout. You know, I guess I keep going in my mind. I keep going back to, I can't imagine 10:30 at night in New Jersey, for instance, there'd be a store packed full of people, and they had waited for me. So my plane, because it arrived 2 hours late, like the event was supposed to start at like 8:30. Like when I, you know, kind of 30 minutes after I landed, everyone waited. So there was this many people, and even outside at that point. So it was, you know, super cool, humbled by it. Like, wow, who knew that, you know, Israel was going to show up in force? We better check on that chat, make sure everyone can hear me. Looks like it. No one's beating down the door of this thing's not working. So I'm going to keep going. All right, what do we got next here? Ah, yes. So this is a tank that was in this store. So the store we went to, the gentleman that owns it lives like right behind it, and this was his personal tank, and had a lot of different cool plants, a lot of Areos, and just kind of a mix and match of everything. And this is what we actually found out is kind of the Israeli style that we dubbed it that, just because we kept seeing this same style over and over again, and that was like beautiful planted tanks with like one of every plant in there, and then lots of different types of fish, because the hobby, while fairly prevalent, is not mature. Like, I don't know if 10 years ago it really existed much as a hobby there, where it's now growing every year, right? And so it's hard to get a lot of these plants into Israel to import them and that kind of stuff. So you've got a lot of people propagating a lot of things, because it's not as easy as go to the store and buy one. It can be very difficult to get them. So a lot of the tanks are cultivate, 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 share, 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 and do what you can. So it was a cool tank, you know, just to see a store owner's tank at his house, right? Because it's right behind. It's literally 30-second walk. This is the store owner here. You can see me. I'm in the Aquarium Co-op shirt. I was wearing sweatpants. Like, I would not have dressed this way had I known I was meeting a bunch of people that night. But hey, you gotta dress for an airplane. And so yeah, he was excited that I was showing up at his store, because that brought publicity to the store, and that's what we were there to do. We were actually there to represent Dennerle, Aquarium Co-op, and grow the hobby. So, you know, I should say probably somewhere in the, you know, the rules, this whole video or this live stream is sponsored by Dennerle. They paid for the entire trip. So they paid for airfare, and they paid for the hotel, and they paid for most of my meals, which some other people bought some other meals and stuff too, so I don't want to discredit them. But, you know, so in case I sales pitch any product in here, do know that Dennerle paid for stuff, but you guys know that I'm not really into that anyway. So just want to get that out there. So yes, this was made by one of the fans that night. So this was the next morning. This was kind of my look. I was right on the beach there, and this was a custom little handmade Murphy that unfortunately I broke. You know, I broke it on the way back. One of its fins, I got to glue it back on right here. But so yeah, now I've got another Murphy, and it even says Murphy on the bottom. And I just thought that was super cool. So I said for sure that's getting added to, added to the backdrop here. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people still had to go to work the next day, so they stayed up all night to meet me, and meant a lot. Meant a lot that people like really, I think part of it was people didn't expect that we would. I say we as an aquarium co-op would, and Chris, Luke Up, Shrimp King, would ever have come to Israel. Like out of all the places we can go in the world, there's like demographic wise and money wise and all that kind of stuff. There's like 100 places that come before that. That being said, we were there, to do that, but I was there to film. And fish farms, I'd always heard of like koi farms in Israel, and I didn't realize like that the black ram came from Israel. So we get to see some of that kind of stuff, which is cool. And all this stuff is going to be turned into videos. Like not so much this airport stuff. This is kind of just extra, outside of that. But a lot of the fish farms, when you're like, wait, I want to know way more about that, like realize we documented a ton where we could. It was definitely very hectic to film. All right, there we are. So we went to another store, again, kind of this Israeli style of multiple types of stone, multiple types of plants, multiple types of fish. You can see there's rainbows, there's Harlequin rasboras, there's apistos, and yeah, we kind of dubbed it the Israeli style. Very nice tank, you'd be happy to see that. Most people would be happy to see that in their local pet stores, so I thought, yeah, let's document some of the stuff. And I was taking pictures. That's the thing, is I had to film a bunch, but I take a lot of pictures. And so a lot of the stores, they do everything. So they do planet tanks, they do shrimp, they do African cichlids, they do saltwater, they do big monster fish, they do all these. And so this was a Mappa puffer, and they were like, oh, you like puffers? And yeah, we fed it, and it was fun. And I took a picture because it was in a great tank to take a picture, and I already had my camera out for taking pictures. So, and then I saw this, which I thought was super cool. This snail, I've only ever seen the shells for. You can buy kind of anywhere, I feel like. Like you always see them in like shell packs, and I'd never actually seen it with the snail in it. It turns out that's a snail that's local to Israel, and so I thought it was super cool. It is saltwater, but I can appreciate saltwater and freshwater, and I, just because I don't do a whole lot of saltwater doesn't mean I don't know about it and wasn't able to like pick out instantly like, hey, I've never seen that before. And then it's like, oh yeah, it's local to Israel. I was like, oh, well, that would make sense why. And so yeah, I just thought it was neat, to see something that like, oh yeah, I guess that thing has to be alive at some point. They had things like the red spot severum, like the true red spot severum. I was talking to the owners about how in America a lot of times we order the the red spotted severum. We get gold with a little bit of red on them, and this is what you're really looking for when you're looking for that red severum. And so again, took a picture because it's not, whenever you see a good fish, you want to take a picture in case I want to use it later in a video or just do something like this. And I kind of had that thought in my mind of like, I want to try and do another slideshow and see if people enjoy it. And so I was taking a lot of pictures this time. And also this store, like there wasn't enough time to film, so we were here for maybe 20 minutes. You can take a decent amount of like pictures from a store, but you can't film it halfway decently in 20 minutes. So you kind of had to make that choice of like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll just take pictures. Because a lot of times we would go to stop, and it's like, okay, we're going to get gas, you can get something to drink, maybe something to eat, and we're going to stop at this store, because this was a store that carried some Dennerlay products, and so we wanted to show up and document and take selfies and do all that. And then we had to get back on the road. And so, yeah, so my mission was like, get pictures. And Chris was doing a live stream. That's what this picture is. So he's live streaming and he's promoting Dennerlay products, which is why he's touching them and that kind of stuff. And they had a lot of brands there. They get quite a bit. So for such a small, I guess, country that is not known for the huge fish keeping hobby, they had a lot of selection. And yeah, it was cool. So I definitely found new products that I might be importing if I can. So not everything you can import, but that would be cool when I bring you some new products. if I can bring them in, I'll be like, yeah, we found this in Israel. Like, who knew? Like, you wouldn't think that I wouldn't have thought when I travel to Israel and find products I've never seen anywhere before. I've been a lot of places in the world. I've seen a lot of things when it comes to fish. And I brought back like a whole suitcase full of things to be like, wow, I got to test these and look at this thing. Like, I've never seen this. This is crazy. And so I'm excited to play with that kind of stuff. So, yeah. All right. Yes, this is a store that we went to. And this store I really liked. I have no idea what the store name is. I'm not even sure if I think it might be Arabic because the store is Arabic. But I love the logo. I love the logo a lot. And so, yeah, we went inside and there was a lot of cool stuff to see. And if my pictures ever load, here we go. So first thing when we arrived, they had this special cake made. It says Dennerley. It's got Chris and myself and Joel from when we were in Germany. And it was just super cool to see the hospitality again. You know, like, and that's going to be a recurring theme here is like, you know, the hospitality in Israel is amazing. At least for me. You know, I won't say, you know, it's not like random people were there, but they treated us very, very well. And, you know, this is for a store that we were only going to be there for like 15 minutes. Like, because we're slated to visit so many places, right? We ended up staying there for like 2 hours. Which kind of screws up the schedule for everyone else, right? But we ended up escaping some tanks, and because we just saw that they were really into kind of design and that kind of stuff. And there's some really cool elements about that store, and I'll show you here in a minute. But all the baklava and all these treats and stuff were really good. And keep in mind, this whole time we're in the middle of the desert essentially, and that cake had been in the fridge, and boy was it good because I love cold cake. So yeah, it was a nice treat. Sit down, they had air conditioning, it was great. And then just to look at some of their cooler, I'm gonna call them inventions because I hadn't seen some of this stuff. So aquariums hanging from the ceiling. I thought that was pretty cool. You can look at it from the bottom. You could do all this cool stuff with it. It just looked really cool in the store. And again, they did freshwater, saltwater, planted, African cichlid, monster fish, all that stuff. And yeah, so but they're getting a, what do I want to call it? Like I think they want to steer towards planted because they do a lot of installations in businesses and that kind of stuff, and a lot of design elements. And I know in the video, I think I took some video there. There was cooler stuff, or different cameras got it. But we took this picture, and I included this picture because not that I want to get political, but I want to prove something to kind of everyone. You know, here we have me from America. We have someone who's Arabic, we have someone who is from Israel, and we have someone from Germany, right? And the only reason any of us know each other is from fish, like at all. We have I won't say we have nothing else in common because I wasn't really asking about other things, but to the best of my knowledge, we have nothing else in common, but it brings us together. And that's why I can travel the world, politics aside, and go, fish are fish. Everyone can appreciate an animal. And that's the way I look at it. I look at it from, here I am, I want to go see animals, I want to go see how things are done, and leave it at that. So that's my stance on it, and that's why I'm so, you know, like, let's leave politics aside, let's leave racism aside, all that kind of stuff. So I think it was this day, it's either this day or the next day, I don't know, like a schedule of like 5 or 6 days. I think it was there 7 days actually. It gets a little messed up there, but this is Danziger Farm. Now, this place is huge. It's going to be I think this is the first video we're going to release. And this is the place that basically is making all the dark night rams, or the black rams and the dark blue rams. And so they're using all these U-boat or U-troughs. And yeah, I guess I'm just going to show more pictures because I don't know exactly what we're showing off here. Yeah, let's see. Whatever load. There we go. So yeah, you can see a little more of that U trough shape. It's all recirculating water. They've got kind of breeding or raising racks on the right, and the raising fry on the left. And they've got all these little feeding rings in there, which I go over that in the video. And mostly I'm just showing, like, I think people are going to want to come back and look at these pictures. That's kind of why they're here. Is like, in the video you're going to see it, but pictures always capture something a little different. Like, well, what ball valves were we using? What were they doing here? What were they doing here? And you know, so while they were like discussing everything, I say they weren't discussing anything important, but they were over there talking. I had already snuck back. I was like, oh, I'm going to go film back here. And on the way back, I was like, let me get some good pictures. So that's kind of what I was doing. Anytime there was downtime, I don't waste my time. So when they're like, oh, talking about something that's like not pertaining to what I need to video, it's like, go get pictures, enhance the videos, right? So this was kind of cool. This is all basically tetracolor granules. Lucas Brett's, you're onto something, buddy. There's a lot of farms feeding a lot of tetracolor granules. Now, at first, this first farm, I was like, yeah, maybe they just haven't found a better food. Like maybe food selection's kind of limited in Israel. Like, I don't know, right? And then the more I kind of saw what they were doing, the amount of money, I was like, no, this is a calculated choice. And they actually get multiple sizes, and they get it custom made by Tetra. And so I was like, okay, and they got to buy it pallets at a time. Like, this was no joke. So then I was like, okay, there's something here. Like, obviously we know that Lucas Bretz loves it, and now that I know multiple farms love it, at least in Israel, I was like, okay, I need to revisit this a little bit. So yes, here's another bucket system. So you can see at the bottom here, like the mulm or the fish poop collects at the very bottom. So up here it's relatively clean, right? Because it's a U shape. And so when they go to clean it, all they have to do is vacuum kind of in a line down the center, and that will pick it all up. Now this bucket here has a specific purpose. If you put the sinking food into there, all the food will sit right in the bottom of that bucket, and all the rams come up and eat from it. And then it's not mixing with the mulm, and you can see is it all being eaten, that type of stuff. And they also keep bristlenose plecos in there to eat the algae and to kind of churn that mulm a little bit more. Now you can see there's a lot of dark fish in there. Those are dark or black knight rams. And in the video you'll see that there is a difference. Some are kind of just a really dark blue, and some are actually black. And they kind of go through that, and you can, to me, the untrained eye, I was like, yeah, it's like a really dark ram and a really dark ram, but you know, in the right light, you're like, okay, I can see that difference. But I think most of us are like, yeah, it's just a black ram. But also what this picture would show you is, I believe these are from, like, let's say it's 3 spawns, but they were all black knight rams. So they're not breeding even close to 100% true, like maybe 20%, right? That's why the price is so high on these dark knight rams. And that's what we've seen in Dean's fish room. Dean has babies, and we've only got very few black ones, and the rest are normal. So, you know, a lot of work's gonna be done with this line. And I think they told me they'd been playing with this line since 2011. It's like 8 years, which was kind of crazy to me. Like, dang, they've kind of only been around for like maybe 2, I feel like. All right, what do we got up next? We have, oh yes, so their gold rams were absolutely amazing too. And what I really liked about these gold rams is, one, how good they looked, but then 2, like, look at this guy. He's got a little nuchal hump. Like, that guy is the king of this tank. And yeah, so they obviously made like insane amounts of rams. Like, I don't think I would be overestimating if I said there was at least 500,000 rams at this farm. And you can't see the scale of this place, and I don't even know if the pictures are going to show you the scale, but you'll get an idea. This was a cool stumble upon. Oh wait, next picture will be this is one of those. This one here would be the dark blue ram instead of completely black, because it's, you know, that blue right there is a little, you know, so that would be like a B grade versus an A grade type of deal. And then they also breed a lot of angelfish. And so these are albino dantum angels, which are, you know, basically a type. So there's, how do I say this? No one's exactly sure where it came from. Some say it's an ultim angel crossed with a scalare to make this fish. Some say it's a scalare that just is its own variant. You know, either way, rare fish, sought after, dantum angels, super cool. These are albinos. They also had normals, and they were making tons of them. They were producing, you know, black angelfish, koi, everything. Then they had ones I hadn't seen before. These were platinum panda angels. And so the platinum had that really sheen or sparkly gene to them. And then the black spots on them was super cool. And they stood out from across the room. This was just a pair of the breeders, but the babies look really cool. And yeah, you know, I always try to document things I haven't seen. I figure if I haven't seen it, a lot of people haven't seen it. Doesn't mean that hardcore angelfish people haven't seen it, but if I hadn't seen it, I'm guessing most of you hadn't seen it. They're watching right now. We're checking on the chat real quick just to make sure nothing crazy's gone wrong. Nope, people are just going, oh, geez, good fish. So good. Good to hear it. We have anyone watching? Got almost 1,000 people. All right, for story time. Not bad. Oh, I can't even see. You get to see them at the back end of this. Let me get back to the right page. All right. So, this is the level of brine shrimp that's going on here. Now, these are at least 4 feet tall. Like, this is really tall. So it's no joke. Like, from a picture, you could be like, oh yeah, it's as big as Corey's, you know, water bottle. Like, no. There's some serious brine shrimp action going on. And you can see they really are boiling that water. Like, there's a lot of air going in there. So I don't think we need to ever worry about putting too much air to brine shrimp eggs. So that's just what I learned. And you're going to see, I don't think you're going to see it in these pictures, but in the fish farms, there are other fish farms that are just so much bigger that will make this look like it belongs in my fish room. Like, this is, like, they are very specialized in what they do here, but some of these farms start getting crazy. All right, what do we got next? Ah, yes, just the, you know, the discus color complete food, which is basically that tetracolor granule, you know, very similar. And they were going through infinite buckets, like a lot. I think I've got a picture in here somewhere that I need to send to Lucas where, you know, it's on another level. But, you know, Chris was with me. He was taking a bunch of pictures and footage and all that kind of stuff. So part of what the delay is because in a place like this, I think we spent 2 hours, right? And honestly, we probably needed 8 hours to film it correctly. So we're waiting for him to upload a ton of footage so that we can also use it to make a better video. So we've got like our rough draft of this video done, and there's like 1 or 2 more things like, yeah, we need this spot and this spot. Maybe if we can get that, it's even better, right? So yeah, Chris is, you know, taking a bunch of pictures, taking underwater video and that kind of stuff, and we worked as a team to get a lot of this stuff done, and it worked out really well. You know, it was really nice to have when you're rushed, because usually the way it was going is someone wanted to teach me, right? So if I've got a camera and you're like, let me teach you about my farm, I have to follow them the whole time, right? And you might see something ridiculously cool, but they're only talking about it for 30 seconds, they move on. It's super rude to be like, no, you go ahead, I'm gonna keep filming. So I'm you know, following the guide basically the entire time, and then Chris would come behind and like get all the shots we really needed, which is really good. More pictures of, yeah, this is more of the black night ram. So you can see just that little bit, you know, super black and like a little bit of not super black. So these ones were the true black night ram and not just like a dark blue ram. See what else we got going on here? Yeah, again, we're just filming. They were pulling stuff out of the things. Like, they didn't really know what we wanted to see. I was just like, we want to see everything. Like, just keep doing more stuff. And so they just keep pulling stuff out. We take pictures, take video, we ask them questions, and that's kind of how, I guess this is also behind the scenes. Like, how do you make these videos? I think the video we've got right now is gonna be 18 minutes, and all told, like, just in the time to get to the farm, film at the farm, get away from the farm, is at least 6 hours worth of work. Obviously, we had to fly halfway around the world too. And there's all the post-production, like when we get back type of deal. But we included this because if stores want to order, or wholesalers want to order from this farm, they do ship to America under the name Aquapex. So there is a chance that the Aquarium Co-op will be buying from them. I haven't reached out to them or anything like that. I want to do them justice and put out a great video, and then reach out and be like, yes, we are interested in purchasing some of these angels and some of these rams and, you know, some of the guppies they have and that kind of stuff. But I want to lead with, look, we brought you a bunch of publicity, and we really appreciate you having us out, and not just hit them like the minute I get home, like, need to buy stuff, need to make money from you. And they were very, very accommodating, and I hope to get to go back someday. Here's I think the picture we were looking for. Yes, so they actually use all these Tetra discus granule buckets to catch fish in, and so that's why they've got them all stacked up, and they're stacked that way so they dry out. Well, I guess I should mention not all, maybe all farms were biosecure, and what that means is we don't want any cross contamination or potential bringing in illness. So, like in this farm, hands and forearms, cameras, and feet all had to be sprayed and soaked in alcohol. And so all the underwater cameras, and not the cameras that didn't go in water, they granted us the like the privilege of not having to sterilize those. We did wipe them down, but we didn't have to like soak them like we did all the other stuff. And so yeah, that's how serious they take this stuff. All right, what do we see next here? Oh yes, we were just taking a random scoop. This would just be like kind of like the Black Knight Ram cast off. These are pretty much mostly, like you see a few dark ones, but mostly they're just going to be normal German blue rams. And so they obviously sell a bunch of these as well, you know. So that just is kind of showing like for every true Black Knight Ram, there might be 1,000 not black. You know, maybe there's one black, there's 30 dark blues, and then there's, you know, a bunch of normals. So I wish this loaded faster. Oh yes, filtration system was crazy. You'll see it in the video. These are giant bead filters. This is the computer that runs it, and these are like 8-foot long UV sterilizers, and they also have these huge trickle towers at the end of each row. And I know in the video you get to see them, but you know in these pictures I wasn't really focusing on taking pictures of the exact trickle towers. But this was like, wow, this thing's huge. This is a big part of this building, was the filtration system and the computer work and, you know, the piping. And yeah, a lot of money got spent on that. All right. Yeah, so then I was asking him to take some nets. So just swipe a net around these U-shaped troughs that were thousands of gallons of water and bring them up so I could take a picture and make this how we make a thumbnail for a video. You know, let's see what's in there basically. Like what's gonna make people click, what's gonna look cool. I thought it looked cool because this bin had a bunch of electric blue rams, has a gold rams, looks good. It looked great underwater when we filmed it. And they were like, sure, we can net it. We net fish all the time, right? And what you'll see in the video is like some of these troughs have 6,000 or 16,000 rams. You know, but there's so many gallons of water, and they're, you know, some of them are like 100 feet long. Like I can't explain how big they are because it's just like, I don't know, it takes you like 3 minutes to walk to the other end. That's all I know. It's that big. So again, trying to get a thumbnail, you kind of pick them up real quick, and you know, a lot of people freak out about fish getting picked up, and it's actually a lot of times better than a net, because nets you can get fins caught, you can rip scales with a hand. As long as they're like kind of used to being handled, you can actually move them pretty efficiently. And you'll see in some of the other farms that's how they sort fish as well. So yeah, some of the scale, I'm not even at the end of this pond, but you can see that, you know, this one U-boat, or keep calling them U-boats, U-trough, goes, you know, really long. And you can also see that there's another side to this place. And if you look way back in the corner, like way back there, that's where the filtration is. But they're like this, I don't know, it's like the size of a football field or something. This place is huge. And oh, I guess here you can see all the trickle towers. All these things at the end of the ponds, all those are trickle towers. So they pump the water up to the kind of the ceiling, and it trickles back down all this biomedia and back into the trough. And the goal is, I mean, yes, it's some biological, but the biological is being handled over the filtration. That's mostly to super oxygenate the water. And they also have an air stone going like every 6 feet or something. I don't know, 8 feet, whatever those drops are. So, you know, really important to keep it oxygenated. Also, the trickle towers help cool the water because they're pretty much in the desert and temperature's really hot. We have to cool the water back down so it doesn't get out of control, and this helps with evaporative cooling. Ah, yes, angelfish. They had a ton of, like we saw, had breeding pairs of angelfish. So they had tons of angels in the water, in some of the troughs. And then this was, so we had to go, right? We, basically the people that had driven us around said, we have to go. We're already like 40 minutes late. And so they were like, oh, you haven't even got to the breeding room yet. And we were like, what? Like, what do you mean? So they got a whole nother facility. And so that's why we have to go back, because we didn't even get a chance to finish this place after being there for hours. But this is all sets of rams, like black rams going. And you can see they've got all these little tiles that they're going to lay on. Do I have any other pictures of this? Maybe. I think I might have some more. But this building was pretty big, and you could see how they can make a lot of fish. This guy was just showing off for the camera, so I want to take a picture. Nice little electric blue ram. A lot of pairs in that facility. You can see fry on the tile. That from there they're going to remove it and artificially raise, and then it'll move out eventually to those big troughs that you saw. So I think it went from like this room to the first room we showed in this little tour, and then it'll go out to those troughs for final grow out. I believe was the way it worked through. Yeah, another just normal kind of, I guess, orange ram, but just looked good to me. Gold ram? That's what I was trying to say. So then we went to another store. So after that, we drove for a while. Might have gotten lunch or something in there. Went to another store. Of course, Chris has to check out all the crayfish, so he, grabs crayfish and starts looking at them and educating, because he's, shrimp king or crayfish keeper guy. And of course, I'm like, let me take a picture of that thing. Looks cool. They also had the Black Widow frontosa, so that's a kind of a morph of frontosa that has irregular bar patterns or stripe patterns. So I just thought that was cool, because that's a fish that it's not exactly super easy to find in the U.S., and yet here it was in Israel. I thought that was cool. I was like, oh yeah, you don't see that every day. Like I don't think I've ever filmed that in a shop before in America. So I took a picture. Now this fish I saw in China, and I saw in Israel, and now it's actually in my 800 gallon. I just haven't shown you guys, I don't think yet. But these are albino threadfin acaras. There should be another picture here. Great looking fish, looks super good. Dean's already fallen in love with them. He wants to breed them, and mine are still small. They're about 2.5, 3 inches, so they don't have nearly the color yet, or not color, but intensity of color. And they're sifting sand pretty good for me. Checking on chat again just to make sure. Oh, that's that Dean. Oh no, wait, no. Yeah, and one more picture, I guess, because I was really enjoying. I knew I would talk about them. We're like, hey, I have these fish. Like, they're cool. I enjoy them. We've got some for sale at the store. This was another shop we went to after that shop, and this was a big African cichlid tank. Just kind of took a picture. I was like, wow, it's cool looking with that many fish. They were really into like natural style aquariums, so there'd be tons of plants everywhere, which is super cool. Like this is all frog bit here. They had some really cool like paludariums, and they had a ridiculous amount of gobies, which was cool to see. And they were really into plants, whether it was garden plants, pond plants, aquarium plants. It was just like a nature zone in there. It was pretty cool. I'm sure I took video, but I didn't take that many pictures. They had tons of bucephalandras growing really well. They've had them for quite a while, which is nice. So it wasn't just like they bought them. These are all growing in, and they were for sale. It was all for sale. And then I think this next one might be the paludarium. Yeah, this thing was insane. Super cool. I guess it's not a paludarium because it didn't have water at the bottom. It would be a vivarium. But very, very cool. A lot of orchids in there, and I really enjoyed it. And, my takeaway was like everyone in the world would enjoy having this in their like living room or something. Like it just was like, wow. Everyone goes, that's cool looking. And the misting systems, how it ran, all that kind of stuff, really cool. I found some really advanced misting systems that I've never seen before, and one of those things like maybe we're just not into it in America yet, I should say. All right, and then this was a different store, I think. I don't I'm trying to think. I think this was we'd gone into, I can't remember the name of the place, but we went in and they had blue-eye Panox. They had two of them. If you don't know, that's a pleco that's usually like 600, 800 US dollars. They had two of them, and you know, kind of a real. It was a smaller store, but really cool. And again, they did African cichlids, they did plecos, they did, you know, everything, right? Like saltwater. That's just the way Israel is because they don't have really defined markets yet. So, you know, $800 fish, I take a picture. That's my move. So this is what got us lots of bad reviews on Facebook and that kind of stuff, just because people don't hear the full story. So half the reason I did this live stream was for this farm, and I feel bad for them because they got beat up so hard on social media, and in general, they're doing absolutely amazing things. So the first thing I guess I want to bring up is the biosecurity. So let me back it up here. Israel wants to be known as a quality fish producer. They're all working together and they're doing really good things from what I can see. Like, yeah, maybe they cleaned this place up the day before I got there, or maybe it just always runs this way, and it definitely looks like it always runs this way. So they strive for absolute excellence, and they use technology, and they're doing all that. And so the biosecurity, like, we all had to put on these. I brought one home. You know, covers your boots and your calves, so that not only, you know, so before you get into this, you have to step into basically a vat of alcohol to sterilize your shoes. Then you put plastic shoes over your shoes. Then you're allowed to walk through. And this farm, they do koi, they do aquarium plants, they do goldfish, and I think they did one other thing. But once you entered one segment, you couldn't go to the next one, even employees. So they took biosecurity, and what that means is keeping out parasites and not transferring stuff so seriously that if you worked on the koi, you weren't allowed to go to the goldfish or the plant side or anything like that. So they're like, that's the level at which they're taking this. Meanwhile, internet's losing their mind on how they're abusing these animals and killing them left and right. It's like, yeah, but you wouldn't go through all this work to make sure you don't even introduce a disease if you're trying to kill them. Like, obviously they're not trying to kill them, and they sell, like, I want to say, I can't remember the number without listening to the video. It was either like 800,000 koi a month, or maybe that was a season or a year. I don't remember, but it was a lot. And they've got millions of koi there, millions. So I wouldn't be shocked if you're like, yeah, we said 800,000 a month. Like, yeah, okay, I believe it because it was crazy. So let's look at some of the pictures here. And this farm, you know, I don't know how much it costs other than like tens of millions of dollars. Like, it's one of those things of like, I'm not sure I've seen a facility this big, and don't get me wrong, I've been to American facilities and that kind of stuff. Like, this is on another level. So here Chris is just filming some of the koi vats, like the baby kois are raising up. And these would have been about 2 inches or so. They've got the belt feeders going. So you kind of lay out. Oh, hold on. You guys can't even see these pictures. I'm bad at my job. Hold on. So you didn't need to see the previous slide because it was just a banner of their thing. But here we go. I'll let you guys soak that in for a second. And yeah, so Chris is taking pictures and underwater video of these like 2-inch koi. You got the belt feeders. You lay out all the food on the belt, and basically, you know, every 5 minutes it might move a quarter of an inch. And so it just continually feeds the fish all day long. Cool system. They're about $1,000 or $700, something like that, because I've looked at them to put into my own fish room, and it just never made sense. But they had that on like everything there, and they're very good and used by fish farms. It's really expensive when you're buying a lot of them. So now, oh yeah, just another shot of how many fish. Like, the feeder would go off, and there'd be there's a billion fish in there. Because koi have huge spawns. So from there, well, not from there, but the next stage, if you will, is kind of at that 3 or 4 inch size. That's where there's enough color and quality that you can sort the fish. And so that's what they're doing there on that table, is basically the net behind them has unsorted fish. The U trough over here has sorted fish. And then each of these, like, gutters, if you will go down to another sorting. So they were sorting for A grade, B grade, and then things that were like really genetically deformed went into another grade, right? And so they would, just be looking at fish. You got a bunch of guys doing that all day long, sorting the fish at that stage before they grow out the next one, because it didn't make sense. You had something that had a bent spine or color was absolutely terrible to continue to grow it, because it's one of those things that not all these fish are ever meant to make it in nature, which koi aren't even a natural fish anyway, but you only want to spend your time, money, and resources growing the best fish, because the goal is that someone will buy them, right? And so you can put the other fish in other troughs and sell them off cheaper. Like you can sell, like, okay, let's sell 3 or 4 inch koi, and I'm just gonna use price here. Let's say they're $1, and there they go. Like people are buying them at $1. But if this fish is really nice, if I grow it up to bigger, I can get $50, right? So that you have to sort them. I think I took another picture there. And again, lots of different kind of cultures coming together here to sort fish. And it was just cool to see how it's actually done. It was really hot, obviously. So you see a lot of people not wearing shirts because it was hot and humid. And did I mention it was hot? But yes, like the people in this facility will never get to go to the next facility. Like they're in the koi, they can't go to the goldfish ever. Like you'd have to put in a request to get a transfer to a different thing. And I don't know what protocol will go down, but yeah, you only get to go into this building. That's why we only got to go to this building. We didn't get to go see the other one. So hopefully, I'm hoping I can go back someday and see the goldfish one. So here you can kind of start seeing some of the scale. Now, each one of these, like this picture won't do it justice, but each front to back might have been 30 feet, 40 feet. And each left to right might have been 8 or 10 feet. And then they were super deep, and all of them are connected together, and they all go into a raceway and to ridiculous filtration. Now, I can't count them, and I didn't have time to count them, but if you start looking, you can just see, like, as far as the eye can see, there's those giant troughs. Same with the other side, and there was multiple of these. So we're talking insane amounts. It was very, very cool. So this is all precursors to, the fish we're about to see. What do we got next here? Yeah, just another shot of, like, so you've got them over here, but then you've got more stuff on the other side. Like, it just keeps going, right? Going and going and going. And you literally can't see the end again. Very, very big. Like, we're talking millions and millions and millions of gallons of water. Like, an insane amount. So I'm getting everyone ready because they freak out when they see the density of fish, and we're going to talk about that. Oh, more pictures again of, like, all the water being shared. It all comes out, and you can see the bins go deeper, or I guess the ponds go deeper. They go way down in there, but they all come out here to go get filtered, and they come back in at some point. All right, so you can see in this picture, like, fish density seems super high. Like, I get that when people see this picture, they assume this is not okay. I get it. One picture, you'd be like, wow, that's not okay. We're putting, or not we, but they're putting food in. They have to feed them every day, and the koi absolutely go nuts for it. Now, if we go to another picture, let's see what the next picture looks like. Eventually, we'll see some scale here. This one shows you a little bit more, kind of the same picture, but you can kind of see towards the back, all right, there's not as many fish, right? And if we go to another picture, I think, you can see how crazy it gets. So we're, throwing food in, they're going nuts. Now, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of koi in these ponds, right? But look how wide they are, look how long they are, look how many other vats there are, and then look how deep they are, and realize they all swell up to where the handfuls of food are being thrown in, right? As fast as you can throw it in, they're just frenzying super hard. These guys are frenzying, and there's not even food in their tank. It's in this tank. But you can see the water splashing around, and they're absolutely going crazy, and that's what koi do. If you own koi, they should be going crazy. Fish go this crazy when they're happy and healthy. If they're trying not to die, they lay on the bottom, they hide out, right? Predators, all that kind of stuff. So this is a sign that they're actually doing well. Now, if they were given a choice, would they choose to have it so the koi never got that excited? Yes, 100% they would wish they didn't do that. That just makes their jobs easier. They don't have to get soaking wet when they go to feed the koi and all that, but you don't get that option. Whether you have 10 koi in there or, you know, I don't want to say 10,000 because I don't have any in there, maybe 2,000, they're gonna frenzy and splash water. Even in my own pond, if I start feeding, they'll start splashing water because they get excited. Let's look at the next picture because I think this one helps demonstrate the densities. So you can see tons of koi right here, and then like through the middle, starting to thin out, and then there's like virtually none on the second half. And all of them are that way because we're over here walking. Just by walking, they do this. You know, so you can imagine how many fish are in there, but they were all very, very healthy. You can see all the airline drops in there, so there's like at least 4 in each pond. And from all accounts, from a guy that was there, right? All I saw was people doing everything they absolutely could to make sure they were happy and healthy, and this was their livelihood, and they wanted to make sure that they were well respected. I believe I wouldn't be showing this to you guys. I don't show stuff if I believe it's bad. And I don't believe it's bad because I believe people need to see this. This is how koi are raised. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's other ways koi are raised that are much worse. Not that this is bad, but you know, there are some pretty deplorable conditions. I did not find these to be deplorable. In fact, they seem to be really good in the way that they were taking care of these fish. And so, like in the video, you'll see they have all the food, and they use giant cement mixers, and they're mixing the food, and they're spraying gelatin with vitamins on all the food to give them even more vitamins. So, like that kind of crazy stuff was going on. There's a lot of stuff that from one picture you can't see. From the video, you're going to see more, but even that is only a little bit compared to what you're going to see in person. You know, I can only capture so much, and this farm was super loud, and so it was really hard to get them to speak for me. That being said, if you're a member, which we have a new member, Michelle Lewis, thank you. I released a little kind of teaser video of this farm at the not right before we went live, a couple hours ago. So if you're a member, you can go watch that. Otherwise, you can wait for the full-length film. But you do get extra stuff for being a member. You can actually see down in the bottom corner here that Chris has his, you know, plastic feet on. And yes, so this is all the return lines on this side, and yeah, you can see people off in the distance working. So they also have this kind of cool stuff around, and here they're growing pineapples. I just thought that was kind of neat. They're like, oh yeah, wait, why do you have pineapples? And they're like, oh, you know, like if we want to have lunch or something, we can grow pineapples here. Like, oh, okay. So I just thought it was cool. Whenever you see something cool, take a picture. That's my motto. So this was the brine shrimp they're hatching. This is how they were collecting it. So they've got these big vats, I'll show you in a minute, and this big U-shaped tube that goes into this bucket that sifts out the salt water from the brine shrimp, and they're doing it 5-gallon buckets at a time. This is to go and feed those baby koi, the ones that are like 2 inches, or well, smaller than that, but you can see this person here when it shows up. Yep, so they've got all these going, and they've got some bigger ones in the back going, all cranking out a lot of brine shrimp. A lot of money being spent to feed those things right. So, yes. Let's see what else we got. I think we're on to a new farm at this point. I'll check in. Sandy Hillman became a member. All right. Yeah, the feed bill must be crazy. They told me something about, some of the farms would tell me how much they were feeding, and it was hard to even comprehend. Like, wait, did you just say 1,000 pounds a week? Like, wait, what? You know, or like, and that might even be too low. I can't even remember the number, me just going, I can't, like, is that a building? Is that a semi-truck? How much is that? How much food is that? You know? But at the same time, you're like, gotta keep filming, gotta keep going, right? So I didn't want to get derailed, because like at that farm we were at, we only had like 45 minutes. Like that's all we got. We had to keep moving because we had to go to this farm. This farm, they specialize in breeding discus. I definitely took more video here than I did pictures. So I just was taking pictures of cool discus so that I had great discus pictures if I don't want to talk about discus. So I think the first few were just showing. I didn't see this strain really. I thought it was really cool. I like this strain a lot. Almost reminds me of a Waru. Like all of a sudden you're like, whoa, yeah. So I really enjoyed that guy. I wouldn't mind getting some of those in because I really like that one. I forget the name. I'm sure I say it in video. Just some more. I don't know if we have any real pictures. Oh, I think we have like one or... Oh, we have a few pictures of the facility. This is, so I took these pictures. This is how tall the trickle towers are. However, like these are like 20-foot tall ceilings, and all these are trickle towers for the filtration. And it's all made out of like aluminum or stainless steel. I don't even know. It was just cool to see though. Really humid in this building. Like, it was hard to film because it was so fogged up. But yeah, and you can see all the baby discus. And this isn't like, they don't raise them all this way, but I feel like it went from parents to like its own little fry tank to raising here. Then it goes out to the U troughs. And not everyone used U troughs, but most people did use U troughs. A little bit bigger of a grow out. Then I think this is a picture of, yeah, they had an empty one finally. So I was like, oh great, I can, you know, so they have this thing on the back here, right? This is, you can put dividers in these U troughs so that, you know, you can do a little bit of sorting, and you can see how the waste separates, or at least collects in that bottom, like bottom of the U there. And you can see all the air stones they're using as well, you know, and that's the thing. So by the way, if you hadn't seen, I shared it on the community page. I found my old video on dissolved oxygen meter testing and all that, and I 100% truly believe everyone needs an air stone or sponge filter, something in their tank. It's technically possible, but imagine these people are running 20-foot trickle towers to add oxygen in, and they still feel like they have to use air stones. It's kind of the same thing. Like, air stones are just so good at it that I recommend it. I just think every tank needs one. Watch that video. Maybe a mod will share it, and you guys can bookmark it for later. It's a slow video. Video is kind of terrible. Audio was screwed up. We lost some of the footage, but 15 minutes. I really did a lot of testing there. It took me weeks and weeks to do it, and I learned a lot. And everything I tested is not in that video. So there's other things I tested that, you know, I basically geeked out with an oxygen meter for like a year of my life. I lost way too much time playing with an oxygen meter, really trying to understand things. And so you're basically getting like all of that knowledge condensed into, like, if you've ever trusted me on anything, just put an air stone in your aquarium. Even if you're running CO2, doesn't matter. Like, just every aquarium needs an air stone. That's like, I don't know that I'll ever, that it needs to be on my tombstone. Tombstone says air stone. Air stone! That's all I know. All right, what do we got? Oh, yes. So then we went and visited a breeder. So not a farm, not quite a home hobbyist, but a breeder. And so we show up, and I was like, oh, cool. These are some cool tanks. This is in his living room. And this guy, he had, you know, this is like MTV Cribs style house. Like, just, like when we showed up, I was like, oh, damn. Is this like a celebrity or something? Like, this is, whoa. You know, like, even if I was in America, I'd be like, dang, who lives here? And that's what I was kind of geeking out. And then I walk into the house, and there was 2 aquariums. And these things, they make my 800 gallon look tiny. And I was like, oh. And what you can't know, this is what you can't know. These silver dollars in this tank, now this is a classic, I once caught a fish this big, but I swear to you that those fish were like this tall. They were like bigger than basketballs. And I get it. Inherently, that's impossible. Don't believe Corey. I get it. But for scale, you got to know that these stingrays are huge. You got to know these pikes are like footballs. Like, they're just chunky dudes. And there's like this big red arowana in this tank. You know, I wish I had a way to put those things on a tape measure, because they were just the biggest I'd ever seen by far. Bigger than public aquarium, not even close. Like, I've never even seen one in a public aquarium even close to the size of these things. Like, they're just insane. Like, that's that kind of stuff I really geek about when I travel the world, because I'm like, I already know people, they're not gonna believe me. They can't comprehend this. Can't comprehend. Video's not gonna show it. Photo's not gonna show it. I'm gonna look like an idiot. But when I tell this story, everyone will assume you have, like, if you ever get a chance to go, which you won't, but if you did, you'll be the other person going, my God, he was right. Like, they're just insanely big. Yeah, I had no idea any version of silver dollar could ever get that big. Yeah. But the next thing I'm going to show you are gonna help, like, what do I want to say? Prove my point, if you will? Because you're gonna be like, oh, dude's not playing. He's not playing. So here he's got some frontosas that he breeds and raises and that kind of stuff because he likes them. This gentleman actually didn't speak any English at all, so I can only do like a kind of that point, thumbs up, like, can I do that? Can I picture it? Yeah. Video? Yes. All right. Type of deal. Super warm and welcoming into his house, though. You know, he was like, dudes like fish. I like fish. Come on in. You know, in a different language, obviously. Had a lot of warus. So this guy sells fish, sells a lot of fish. And he's actually breeding an insane amount of, diamond stingrays. He's got a big giant gourami here, pink giant gourami. Now, again, this picture wouldn't do it justice. You wouldn't know that these stingrays are ridiculously big, and those are like full-grown frontosas there. But the next picture, I think it's the next picture, will help put this place into scale, I think. Yeah, a little bit. So here is what you come downstairs to see. Now you can see all these tops, right? These are all custom tops he's had made for these, I'm going to call them tanks or ponds. Each one of these ponds is 4,000 gallons. 4,000 gallons. Right? Like that's a lot of 800-gallon tanks. Like 4,000 gallons is dumb. And each one is 4,000. There's 12,000 gallons of water right there. Plus he's got all these tanks over here. Plus he's got other stuff. Plus he's got other stuff upstairs. So naturally, like, when you see that and you're like, wait, dude's got like hundreds and hundreds of giant stingrays. What's the filtration look like? Yeah, I took a picture. We did a lot of video too. This is like the longest sump system ever. Each one runs its own sump. So nothing, no water is shared, and just infinite sumps. And what I want to show you guys is he's basically using white pads and coarse sponges. So a guy, from what I can tell, money is of no object to this guy in this guy's life. You know, I didn't take any pictures of his house because that's disrespectful, and I don't want anyone to like break into his house or anything. But like, clearly this guy wants for nothing in his life, and all the money in the world he chooses to use sponge pads and white filter floss, basically. Kind of what I choose. Like, I don't have all the money in the world, but I have access to a lot of things, and that's how I set up my tanks, out of ease of maintenance and use and what works well, and, you know, it was super cool. So, felt a little justified. I took a lot of video. So, you know, a guy does a lot with stingrays when you have, like, oh, here's my stingray barb collection in this case. And then you're like, oh, I outgrew that case. So now I put them in this in this cup. Oh wait, I have too many for that cup. All right, now I'm just gonna leave them hanging around. Like, that's an insane amount of stingers or barbs, right? Like, a lot. Dude's not messing around when it comes to stingrays. So, yeah, a lot of cool underwater footage from that one. He let me put the camera underwater, so super cool. All right, checking on chat, make sure chat's not on fire. If I can get there, yes. All right. He also had super duper cute little Pomeranian dogs. I love them. I would have given a choice. I would have taken his little dogs. Those things were super cute. So then we went to another farm. Now this farm is way more like the Goliad farm. Their whole approach was natural, natural, natural. And so there's a lot of plants here. The one thing that you'll see in the video that you can't really see in the picture is they don't use any pumps. They only use air. So they move water around this facility, but it's all airlift technology. And you may have heard about that in the past, me talking about it. I'm a huge, huge fan of airlifts because basically as you move air, it'll move water with it. And it's really, really efficient. It oxygenates water, and it was super cool to actually see a farm utilizing it. Unfortunately, again, we were only able to be here for an hour, and you know, again, it's a full day shoot at least. Like, the places were huge. So yeah, they were raising a lot of glowfish, a lot of different danio types, guppies, barbs, a lot of stuff. Even developing some of his own strains of stuff, which is cool. Yeah, there's more pictures of kind of what's going on. Yeah, they're all concrete vats, and there's a dual ceiling system. So they put basically a barrier right above, and then there's like another 10 feet and another barrier, and that is to create insulation because it gets so hot that even with multiple shade cloths and that kind of stuff in the middle of the desert, it gets pretty hot. So you're doing everything to control temperatures. You don't want to get way too hot. You don't want to get way too cold. You don't want it to swing a bunch. And so yeah, that's how they were doing that. Oh, and those pipes on the side, you could just turn one and it would start draining water if you wanted to. So here you can kind of see all the plant filtration they're using. And in each of these, they had basically, not sponge filters, but airlift filters, which you'll see it in the video. I didn't take good pictures of it, apparently. This was another section. These are all IBC totes. And I want to say there was over 1,000. So that means in this section, there was over 1,300 gallon totes. And each tote had guppies in it. And each one's labeled, each one is tracked, each one, they're making strains, they're breeding them. A lot of cool stuff's going on in there. And again, only running air, which is super cool. And yeah, I mean, from the picture, it kind of looks a little dumpy, but when you meet the guy, I think his name is Fabio. I believe his name is Fabio. Super personable, and you're like, this guy is like the Israeli version of Dean. This is amazing. And so I think you'll really enjoy that video when we get it out. What do we got next? One of the little like filters, basically. So one of the cool things you'll learn about is he uses the filter floss, but he really felt bad because there was no way to recycle it. And so because there's no way to recycle it, he's found a way that he likes to clean it and reuse it. Because he wasn't okay with just using it and then throwing it out. He's like, that's destroying the environment. And like, he runs his ponds really natural and really cares about the environment. So I thought that was super noble. And yeah, but I think he might have found a way to reuse it into something. Like, he was able to switch, and now it is able to be recycled. I have to rewatch the video to know 100%. Where are we at next? All right, so then I think this was another day. No, it might have been the same day, actually. This is why we had to go, because we had another like 2 hours to drive to this place. So we're in the desert, and you'd think that Chris might be shading his eyes from the sun. No, it is so incredibly windy. If you saw the video on like maybe Instagram or Facebook, crazy windy, eyes burning. Like, there's so much hot air rushing by. I didn't realize how hot I was until I got back in the car, and I was like, oh my god, I think I'm dying. Like, it was like you're standing in an oven, but you're just like taking in the scenery and like, yeah, let's go get this picture, it's gonna be fun. And I want to be like, look how far we had to go to the middle of the desert. And this is literally where these fish farms are. There isn't water. Like, the closest water source, I believe, from the farm we're gonna see was the Dead Sea. And so I have to take salt water, strip all the salt out of it to use it and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was nuts. So I think we got a few, like, check it out, it's nature pictures. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit of power going through there, but otherwise, as far as the eye can see, ain't a whole lot going on in this desert. Except for some fish farms. We get the internet to catch up here. There we go. Again, like one little road. I just laugh at this picture because that's back where our car was, and he's just holding onto his hat, and you're just standing there going, and I think Chris and I both agreed, never been in wind that strong before, and you're kind of just like, wow, that's quite the sight to see, and this wind is nuts. Oh yes, and we're on fire. Like, there's just so many things going on that you're almost like dumbfounded. It's like, huh. Yeah, let's never experienced that. All right. Now, if you don't know, like, Israel's not that far away from like Egypt. So it's like, oh, that's why it looks like it's the desert and ridiculously hot and sandy and all that. Like, yeah, that's pretty much where we are in the world. So then we get to this farm. Now, this farm by far, I think, was the most technology advanced. I think they were the biggest farm we went to. I have a feeling they made the most money, most fish, all that. And the craziest part about this, and this video is going to take us a long time to put together, and we didn't even get to see it all. The craziest part about all this, and you can't see the scale of it, I get it. They only have 21 employees. Like, from this picture, you might be like, ah, yeah, okay. But there's like 10 different greenhouses that are the size of, like, I don't even know, football fields or bigger. Like, it's crazy. So this track right here, this track, that's for the robot to feed all the troughs. Yes, you can get hit by a robot. I almost got hit by a robot while I was filming. They were like, ah, get out of the way, you're going to get hit by the robot. And I was like, whoa, wait. And then I was like, oh, that's a robot. Tell me more about this robot. So the robot is cool because each trough, when they put fish into it, they basically start at 0. They put in the computer system 0. And they put how many fish are in it. And then each day, you know, if you're putting guppies in, this was the guppy farm. It knows if you put in 10,000 guppies at 0, it weighs this. Feed this amount. And it feeds 5 times every day. Well, tomorrow, they should have grown a little bit. So it feeds a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little. Every day it's adjusting to feed a little bit more based on the weight of the guppies that should be in that trough. It has literally maximized the feeding you could possibly do. Now, this is all the dry food, and in the video you'll see, you can actually see it right here. These are like supersized. I had to get on a so that's like a 10-foot ladder right there. I had to get on a 10-foot ladder to look in these things. Those are hatching out brine shrimp. They hatch out 7 pounds of brine shrimp every day just for this farm. Just this greenhouse. They've got like 10 greenhouses. So 7 pounds of brine shrimp eggs every day just for this one. Those do get hand fed, but they feed it by the pitcher full. Like, it's not like a little pipette. Oh no, you take a whole pitcher of it and you walk down one of the U-troughs and you get another pitcher full. And they move it around in 55-gallon barrels. It's nutty. You can even see here, like, well, I guess you can't see because my big dumb face in the way, but you can see the scale of fish there. So yeah, this is just showing kind of the fiberglass little ponds they're using. There's a lot of guppies in here. They might do this before they're shipping out, so they'll catch a bunch, sort them, and keep them there so they can go pull for orders like the next day. So they'll start prepping kind of days before, just to make sure when they go to ship them, they're quick and efficient. So yeah, if you pull one of those up, because I was like, hey, pull one of those up, let me take a look at it. That's what you'd see. This is just like a cobra guppy female, I believe. What do we got next? Yeah, now if they needed to sort them, or I think he was showing show off to Yazaki, which that was the Israel guy that was showing us around. These are some of the red guppies or endlers that they're making, which look really nice. It was really hard to film this stuff because they were in a confined space, so going underwater didn't make a whole lot of sense. Pulling them up, like if you're just under the water, there's too much reflection, so you'd pull them up real quick, take a picture, put them back down. Which would be the same thing if they were moving them. So that was the first guppy farm, right? And we already mentioned they have like 10 farms, 10 buildings, whatever you want to call it. Chris right here, and I got the same picture, but it's different cameras, right? At this point, he is standing in Jordan right here, and this side is Israel. And this is a river. It's a dried up river because it's out of season, but this whole thing, way past as tall as this pillar is usually underwater. But during this time of year, it runs dry. And they say it was like, a few feet up just 2 or 3 weeks ago. So kind of crazy. But, kind of had to get out. And we were in this like 4x4 little like super duper golf cart running between these farms. because it's kind of off terrain and everything. And he had bought this farm, and when he bought it, it was still in Israel. But then there was like a border shift, like that part went back to Jordan or something like that. And so now he technically owns a farm in Jordan and in Israel, which meant I got to go to another country. So this is the next facility, also had guppies. So one of the cool things that they did is, again, all these are biosecure, so we had to, sterilize everything in between the facilities. He was very gracious to let us go between facilities. That, he was really doing us a favor on that. So some of the things I want to point out is you've got all these giant fans here, right? Just take note of those fans. I'll explain what they are later. Yeah, this is these are like 500-gallon vats, and they're all conical, so they all come down to like a center point, and that makes water changing really easy. At this point, the water was green in these, and some of these, and a little bit murky because like 2 or 3 weeks ago they had to switch. So it used to be all water that got pumped around, but now it's at the height. It's not the height. Now it's hot enough. Like the river evaporated, it's really hot. They're literally in the middle of the desert. Now that it's hot enough, if they run the big pumps to move all the water around all the time, temperature gets too hot. So now they run just giant sponge filters in the center of all these things, and they service them by hand. Let's see if we can see some other cool stuff. Ah, yes. So this is the picture in the thumbnail, right? Now we took note of all those big fans. This side over here, so there's green shade cloth. That's why it looks all green, and just kind of looked really cool to me. And so this picture also displays like the sun is setting, right? At this point, the sun is setting, and we're racing daylight. There are no lights in these places. I mean, there probably are in the offices, but there's no light going to be left, and so we're just filming as fast as humanly possible. Like, you can only film so fast. You can't really speed it up, and people already yell at me for moving cameras too fast, right? So I'm just trying to film everything. But what's over here, this whole black, wall, I guess, it's like the radiator on a car. It's all these metal fins. And water is being dropped across all of it. And those giant fans on their side are pulling air out, which is pulling air into those fins. And so when you go over there, the air is like freezing cold. They're using evaporative cooling times 1,000,000. So they're evaporating that water, and it's like the coldest AC you've ever felt being blown in, and so that's how they're keeping it cool, even though it's ridiculously hot. So, very cool technique, and now I know evaporative cooling, no joke. That thing's legit. You could cool as big of a building as you ever want to cool with that thing. It was very neat. So trying to show scale of how many vats we're talking about. Now, we're getting, I think, towards the end of the slide, so I'll fill in some more holes here. This place, they bred guppies in mass, right? Like lots. So I really want to try to import guppies from them. They also bred cardinal tetras. They also breed neon tetras. And one of the facilities we didn't get to go to because there was no daylight left. It was 10 minutes away. Because again, biosecurity, keep things, all the farms are 10 minutes away. That's how serious. No, not just next door. 10 minutes away to get to that farm. Just to make sure nothing would happen. But 10 minutes away is where they were growing all the neons and cardinals, and there's just millions of them there. I got to see and film the breeding part of it, but all the actual raising. And that's something that the gentleman that owned this farm, his name is Rand. And he always has his breeders in a different building from where he's raising babies, so that if disease ever happens, it wouldn't take out both. He's collecting, some of the best strains in the world. He's working on things, that kind of stuff. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. And but every 2 years, he sterilizes every facility he has. So, a couple months ago, he had sterilized this entire facility, and so all the parents are over there. That means there was no fry at all. You sell off everything. You sterilize the entire facility, then you start it back up, and then you would bring babies back over. And that's just he doesn't have problems with parasites, but he's That's why I don't, because we take it so serious. And then it's like, okay, then we'll go sterilize over here and we'll sterilize over there. And you just want to make sure, he says, that when you're really testing water, no matter what you do, bacterial counts are going to grow. As systems get more mature, more things can grow, more things can thrive. And keeping, his farm working on clockwork, essentially with robots and all that, you need very low amounts of tolerance. So if all of a sudden you got a ton of algae, the robot feeder works differently. Like, oh, it's getting stuck on the algae. This is happening. It's not going down in the conical bottom. So you really had to keep everything in line. And so it was just very cool to see on the scale of which some of this stuff was being done. They were also, I don't know if we got to talk about it much in the video, but they breed prawns for food fish. They also do that. And they're doing some really cool things with not changing the DNA, but changing like the RNA of that thing to basically make bigger prawns. Kind of cool. I think this might be the last picture. Nope, there's still some more. Yeah, again, just taking more pictures. The scale of it is, if you start just, so if you can look at, these are 500 gallons, and if you're like, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you're like, okay, how many rows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you're like, oh, that might be like 30. There's a lot. So there's just multiple sides everywhere. Each facility would have like over 1,500 gallon things. It's just like, wow, that's not playing. Ah, yes. So then we left that farm, and the next day, let's see, did Chris get to come here? No, Chris had to fly out. So Chris flew out earlier than I did. Somehow our flights were different, and I ended up staying like an extra 2 days, basically. So I got to go to this fish farm, which I didn't take very many pictures because I was filming a lot, because I didn't have anyone else to film, right? It was just me at that point. So what's cool about them, and I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but it'll be in the video, they will ship to the United States. So they'll literally FedEx it from Israel, boom, hit you in the United States. Shipping's like $90. But this farm's got a really cool thing. All they do, well, not all, but 99% of what they do is Lake Tanganyika cichlids. They only breed wild-caught Tanganyika cichlids. So these are all wild-caught Tropheus icola, right? Which I really fell in love with, and I was like, I'm probably going to have to get some of those. And I'll probably order some. So don't order them all, because I want them when you find out who they are. I got to set up a tank first. But they're all wild-caught. They're breeding colonies. Then they only sell F1s. And so they're mass producing fish. And this setup was in their showroom, and it looked really cool. And yes, they're pulling babies and all that. And they just had a lot of cool things. So they do a lot of Tropheus. They do a lot of Frontosas. And I can't remember this fish. I can't remember the name of it, but another Tanganykan. So they've got I think they said 12 different strains of Frontosas they breed. Pretty insane. I think this is the last picture I have for you guys. And some wild-caught Calvis. And they've got way more, but it mostly was in video because I didn't have time to take pictures, so I was taking a lot of video. They had some Malawi too, but not a lot. And it's getting really hard to get wild Malawi, but their mission statement was like, if we can bring these wild-caught fish in, I think they said they would bring in like 60 specimens. Then they would make breeding groups, and then they could supply basically the entire world with F1 babies that would be correctly identified, would be healthy, and we wouldn't have to pull nearly as many out of the wild. And I was like, that's kind of a thing, right? Like, I can respect that. And I thought it was cool because it was like a different business model. And then I thought it was super cool once I found out they actually shipped to the United States. I was like, whoa. So you mean my viewers can just actually order from that? That's super cool. So when that video comes out, we'll be for sure sharing the details. I hope you guys buy all of their fish because I'd love to see them get supported. They were super duper nice. They actually have a YouTube channel with like 3,000 subscribers. They don't really talk. It's kind of some music and the fish, so you can see more of the fish there. And I don't remember the name off the top of my head, otherwise I'd tell you right now. Yeah, so it was a very cool trip. I enjoyed the food a lot. The hummus is like I've never had before. Made a lot of friends. And I do hope to go back, so it may be, as soon as like 6 months or a year. Like I would like to take my wife there, and I got to see like the West Wall, and I got to see all these, like historic things or whatever, and basically looked at Gaza and all that. And I didn't take any pictures apparently, but I had dinner in someone's home, and they had really cool cardinal shrimp and all that. It was very cool. Michelle, if you're watching, thanks for having us over for dinner. I appreciate that. And pretty much everyone from Israel, like, what time is it there? It's probably like 2 o'clock in the morning or something, but very warm, welcoming, open, and really made it so I had a good time. It was kind of like I was hanging out with friends the whole time, as opposed to being like the foreign guy. When I travel to China, I'm pretty much the foreign guy. But in Israel, it was like, oh man, they know who I am, and it was great, and they were showing me cool stuff and good food and good conversation and all that. So, all right, we got about 30 minutes left. A little more than 30 minutes. I can answer some questions and address some super chats and do all that kind of stuff. So, we'll get to the main regularly scheduled program, if you will. Flynn donating the $5. Flynn, you got to save that money. You got a job at a fish store. I know what that's like. You need that money. So thanks for the stream. Hey, I'm glad you're enjoying it. A couple dollar super chats from Lisa's and Joshua saying thanks for all the amazing content. Yes. Do me a favor, by the way. Hit that thumbs up button, share, watch my videos till the end. Like, at the moment, there's been a shift in the YouTube algorithm, and about 25%, like, so here's our baseline. 25% while I was in Israel, it's like, boom, went down. It hasn't recovered. Not that it maybe matters to you guys, because you can just watch or not watch, but if we want to spread the knowledge I'm trying to teach to more new people, we need to not be dropping. That's kind of the gist of it. Which maybe it's just a tweak in the algorithm and it'll come back, or maybe they made a tweak and it's like, oh, you got to do different stuff. Like, I haven't figured out what changed yet. But a few people are noticing, like, wait, what's going on? Like, yeah. And to me, I feel like it's not that I'm always doing the same stuff, but it's like, well, it's in the same vein, and it's not like I swear or do anything crazy. So, my channel shouldn't really be getting penalized for it. All right, well, we've jumped through all the super chats, so now I can get into the chat. Yes. Because I haven't looked at the chat at all, I have to like digest some of the chat so I can get there. Caroline Epler with the $5 super chat. Thanks, I appreciate it. Now you can see really how hard it is. I have to digest so I can keep the chat rolling. I got to figure out where a good question is, and then from there I can keep talking. Oh, 70 pounds of brine shrimp. Yeah, they buy it by the buckets they use, the brine shrimp, I want to say each one was 2 kg, which is like 5 pounds. So 5 pounds of eggs at a time. And they were saying they just buy it pallets and pallets at a time. And, if I befriend them more and like buy from them, I might be like, hey, where you be getting them brine shrimp eggs? Like, I wouldn't mind being able to sell those in the United States to people. Like, I'm guessing when you buy like the truckload of brine shrimp eggs, you get a good deal. It's my guess, but sometimes I'm wrong. The Fish Tank Barn, thanks for the content. Any more travel plans outside of the country this year? Possibly. Well, yes, for sure there are some. But recently I had more plans, but then I kind of got word from someone that like maybe they're not on. So Dean and I are going to Peru. So that's going to happen in August, I believe. And then I'm not sure. Like, I know I'm doing Aquashella, which is in the country. I know I'm doing Aquatic Experience. I know I'm doing SIPS, which is in China. So for sure I have at least China and Peru on the docket for the rest of the year. What's up in the air? I might go to Vivarium, which is in Holland. In that same trip, I could go back to Israel, which sounds enticing. Also might hit up Germany. I'm still itching to hit Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, UK. I saw a lot of love from Scotland today, so I kind of want to hit up there. My goal is to travel as much as I can, but I can't do it alone. So that's why it's like I need help, and the help I need is like, I guess, company support. Like, this Israel trip could have never happened without Dennerley. That's not true. Could have never happened without Chris Lukup, Shrimp King. He's the one that knew all these people. He already been to the farms. He already knows them, right? And so because he already knows them, he's able to get us in, and they're happy to see us, right? And so I need someone like his help or a company's help. So they're like, yes. I would assume if Tetra's making all the fish food you're feeding, and they call you up and be like, hey, can you let a guy come film? They're like, I guess, yeah, right? More than just like random dude like, hey, I'm from America. I'm coming over. So, a lot of it does depend on that kind of stuff because I need translators because I only know English. The money, like we could crowdsource it and get enough money to go, but it's not nearly as good unless you have someone that can like drive you around, know where to go, speak the language, scout stuff out, help you film and all that, and build an itinerary that works. So, but I do hope to go back to Israel because there's more I need to feed or film, not feed. I need to feed more too. I need some more of that hummus for sure. How hot are we? 82 degrees. All right. Reed says, I just want to call attention to how much Candy does. I don't think I've ever watched a FishTuber live stream without her moderating. Thank you, Candy. Yes, definitely. Candy has been a big help to Aquarium Co-op and other channels for a very long time. And I do what I can. So, Candy now works full time for Aquarium Co-op. So I want to make sure you guys know when she's here, yeah, she gets paid. Great. That's a good thing. When she's in all the other live streams, she's not getting paid, though. She still volunteers her time after all of that. So, what is my wife doing? My dogs need to make an appearance. So I want to make sure that you guys realize that she is donating all that time. She does not get paid to go and help all the other live streams, so she's doing it out of the goodness of her heart. And now it's puppy time.
Angie in Vermont, if you want.
Oh, yes. And we got some care packages. Angie in Vermont. This came like a couple days before I left, right?
That was a while ago.
Yeah. And so, taco towels. Every now and again I fall apart. Yes, surround yourself with tacos, not negativity. This needs to be like my banner. Because I gotta admit, it was pretty disheartening for myself and the brands and the people of Israel to watch the internet just take a giant dump on a country. Like, it's just not fun, right? Because we're all here for fish, and it wasn't awesome. So I definitely support that. And live like every day is Taco Tuesday. I had quesadillas today, close enough.
Grilled.
They're grilled, yeah, exactly. You gonna hand me little old lady? So unfortunately, Sassy's getting very old. We've taken her to the vet a couple of times, and the diagnosis is ancient. And so she's been losing weight. We're feeding her 3 times a day, and they say her hormones might be out of whack, and she's starting to get more and more symptoms of maybe cancer, even though the blood tests are coming back okay and everything. But we took her for a walk, not last night, but the night before, and she could only walk about a third of it. The other dogs losing their cool, like, oh, we love walks, but she's getting old, and she's getting sore when she has to walk. So yeah, just giving her some screen time, and now she does a lot of sleeping. Yeah, and snoring. So yeah, gotta cut down on my traveling to spend some more puppy time just to make sure. Is it 10 hours ahead?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I thought it was 9, but yeah. So Sassy the Destroyer still chases people and could destroy them, but not quite as much. Twin City Guppies. I need to make my place look like those farms. Yes, Twin City Guppies have been expanding. Speaking of which, Twin City Guppies, we need to talk. He's gonna come visit me next week or something, or the week after. I mentioned you when I was at some of these farms. I was like, I got a guy that I want to sell your guppies because it would make it easier. You're already used to importing guppies. If you import them and I just buy from you or whatever we figure out or work out, and you're a good person, so I want to help you. So, you know what's hotter than 82 degrees? 82 degrees and a Chihuahua heater on you. That's the only thing hotter. Yeah. Was there any tacos in Israel? Not really. We had sushi. I had sushi once, and then I think I had hummus, and then I demanded hummus like every meal. And there was a few meals that didn't have hummus, but whenever someone asked what I wanted, it was hummus. So, how do they deal with the water in the desert? I think that could be a problem. Yeah, I think there's a lot of water treatment facilities. Like, there's a lot of technology in Israel. Like, they're apparently, like, the main business there is technology because everyone is a computer programmer apparently. Like, 2 or 3 of the store owners were like, yeah, used to be a software development engineer, now I own a fish store. You know, I was like, wow, how are all of you doing that? But very common profession there, and I'm sure there's other industries, but apparently fish nerds and software people go together hand in hand. So, all right, you really gotta take it because I'm like dying in heat. Oh, whew.
When it's raining and then
Yeah, other dogs are too scared to hang out, so I did demand hummus. Oh, they're back. Think you've been running? You been running? All right. I mean, people always ask what you want, and they're like, "Don't you want to try other stuff?" And I'm like, "Why? This is the best thing I've eaten by far." I mean, we did some breakfast things. There was really good like snack foods at the get-togethers, which I didn't really have any pictures of get-togethers, which I apologize to the stores. Like, I'm sure those will find their way out. But there was giant spreads of food and all that, and you know, I want to say each one had like at least like 100 people. The second one was like a lot bigger, but it was like on a Thursday night, I think. I don't know. I kind of lost track of time because it was go to bed at 2, wake up at 6, be out, you know. Oh, thank you. I need water. Oh. More water, good. Just kind of being out the door again. So falafel in euros, yeah, we did that one night. Oh, that was night number 2. We went out for like euros and stuff, and that's where the hummus, like they brought it out, like kind of like when you go to Mexican food, they're like, here's some chips and salsa. It was like, oh, here's some hummus and pita, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then I was like, oh what? And then they were like, well, what kind of euro do you want? And I was like, I don't. I just want this hummus. And so then we ordered hummus with the Euro meat in it, and it was ridiculously good. And then I tried a bunch off of everyone else's plates. So yeah, that's how it went down. Oh, you want one of these ridiculous shirts? You have to be management at Aquarium Co-op to get one of these because they're not cheap, and also I like to wear them. So I literally got these for management because we've now given out so many shirts that it can be a little bit difficult when customers come in. They're like, "Do you work here?" And the person's like, "No, I just wear their shirt." You know, so now at least management, you can be like, "Hey, that guy's got a collared shirt and it's got their logo on it. I'd like to talk to you." So it helps a little bit, and I needed to dress myself up a little bit when I go meet vendors and that kind of stuff. Because when you show up in just a t-shirt, like right now I'm wearing t-shirt and like sweat shorts and flip-flops, and you're trying to tell them how, like, I know you don't realize it, but I talk to a lot of people on the internet and I kind of sell a lot of things. You should consider working with me. Like, it doesn't come across the same as if you show up and you're like, oh yeah, you've got, nice slacks on, you've got a collared shirt, and you play the part of like, yes, our businesses should do business. We should do lunch or dinner. Yes, we should fly out sometime. We'll bring the kids. All that kind of phony stuff, when really it's like, let's talk numbers. Let's do this. And yeah, so that's why I got the collared shirt. And yeah, we've got kind of some big things going on in the background. We're holding it secret as much as we can, just because I want to do another thing like this and be like, look what we did. We did a thing. And if we just give you bite-sized things, the project's going to take months and months and months. So yeah, you want to see Robert in one of these? Well, I'll have you know, I bought Robert a ton of them. So yes, so different. I try to upgrade all the employees when I can. So Robert got some, I got some, and then we've got all those new hats for like all the employees. I'm trying to think what else. Secret projects over there for some of the employees. And then, yeah. So I try to, just kind of level up everyone and not, I don't want it to be like, oh, management's got the polo I see, I just got to wear this. Like, no, you also got the hats. Like, the hats are different than the polos. And, I'm constantly, as I was talking with Randy today, I tell him, we're not in competition with anyone else. We're in competition with ourselves. How do we make ourselves better? Even if we're already the best, how do we make it better? And, you know, a lot of times I'll make a choice that costs us more money, but I'm like, I think that's better. I think it's better than what we already do. And it's like, well, we're already better than everyone else on that particular thing. And that thing was like some type of packaging we were talking about. And it's like, yes, but the minute I know we can do better, we should just do better. So that way it makes it harder for our competition to catch up. So yeah. David Gilkinson, love the content. Thank you, Corey. Money for an air conditioner for the studio and a raise for candy. Well, thank you. Yes, I could. So part of the problem is I only spend 2 hours in the studio filming, right? Unless I'm filming a long day. It would vent all the heat out into the studio I work in most of the day. So I have air conditioning out there. The problem is with all the insane lights going on right now, the giant screen, the camera that's like on fire and all that stuff, it's 82 in here. It's only 72 out there. So yes, but every time I do this, I get closer. Where can you go to find groups in North Carolina? I've yet to find a place that is interested in buying from a local breeder. I want to get into breeding. Make sure you have checked the website, aquariumcoop.com. There's on the info section, there's going to be local clubs. See if there's anything for North Carolina. I don't know off the top of my head, but that would be one place to look. Look at Facebook groups as well. Otherwise, maybe people in the chat are chiming in right now. That's one of the best ways we kind of we congregate a lot of fish nerds all in one place. And you know, if there's 1,200 of you guys right now, one of you might know, oh yeah, there's a group that meets the third Wednesday of every month over at blah blah blah, right? So yeah, that's one of the best ways. And then kind of once you're in, you're in. Yeah. Oh yes, Walker got one of our new coconut huts. Thank you. We brought a bunch of those in, and we're bringing in a bunch more because they're selling like hotcakes. So that's good. We've been out for a long time, and you know, it's one of those things we used to have a guy locally. So all our coconuts used to be locally made, not grown but made. And the problem was, as our business scaled, it wasn't a business that he could scale for like his family, right? He's got his own job, and then he would do coconuts on the side for like store credit. Well, as we sold more and more and more and more coconuts, he didn't really have more and more and more time to make coconut huts. So we ended up having to find a source, and so by finding the source, we were able to bring the price down. But I do want to be 100% transparent. We did not go and find a source to bring the price down. We were perfectly fine with supporting our local people, and we started the Aquarium Co-op to do that, support local people, and you know, given a choice, I'll buy it local before I'll buy it, you know, abroad, unless it's like way too far off. But we always stay loyal to, you know, companies or people or breeders or whatever that have been with us for the long haul. So, you know, if you were willing to give up a Saturday, make us coconut huts for the past 5 years, we're still going to buy coconut huts from you. And he brought some in even after we got our big shipment in, and we'll sell them locally. And yeah, we stick by our people. That's, you know, the Aquarium Co-op way is stick by your people until they give you a reason you can't. You know, like, oh, if you just don't make any more coconut huts, well, I can't. You know, there's always that. But for the most part, stay loyal to those that are loyal to you. So, do we ship to Canada? We don't. We were in a meeting the other day, and I know I say this every live stream, talked about Canada, right? We talked about shipping rates. We're looking at more things. I don't know what to say other than we keep running scenarios. We keep contacting different shipping companies. We keep looking into it, and yeah, it's not an easy thing. Trust me, if it was easy, we'd do it because we know a lot of people in Canada want it, but it's not super easy. So, when do our pre-filters come back into stock? I don't know. Are we out? I mean, we have been out, but then I found 70 more like in the studio, and we put them into stock. So let me see if we are out. So we might have some right now. Not a lot, some. But as of like, you know, 1 o'clock today, we probably had 70. Now we have 44. There's 44 left, so get them while the getting's good. We will have more mid to late June. So we have a cargo container that is currently on the water. And what that means is we've already paid for it. It's already been all the products have been made. It's in a cargo container, crossing the ocean, coming to us. That takes at least a month, and then we got to clear customs, which usually takes about a week. And at this point, our rough estimate is we've got, June 15th is what we have penciled in the calendar. Like, this thing should be landing about June 15th. And, yeah. And what else do we restock in that? Probably Ceru Stone, Dragonstone, white pads. There's quite a few items in there that we'll be able to restock, and we do it as fast as we can. We got 48-inch Fluval filters back in stock today. Not filters, lights. That was not on us. That we've been trying to order from Fluval those 48-inch lights for about 5 weeks, so they finally came today. Only were out for a few days, which is good. And yeah. What else? Oh, we got misshipped something again. So when you order a ridiculous amount of plants, that kind of happens a lot. Yeah. Basically, we were supposed to get like 50 Physodin Fontanus moss, and we got 50 extra Physodins nobilis. So now we have a lot of nobilis in stock. I moved the price down to $11.99. Now the time to get it is now. I've moved the price down, grabbed some extra. We got overshipped. One of those things that doesn't make sense to ship it back because that's not good for the plant. Like to ship it right away back, and it would just cost way too much money. Like, oh, we're gonna lose so much money in shipping. No, just keep it and we'll discount it, we'll sell it. So we've discounted it, you guys will sell it, or you guys will buy it hopefully, and we'll move on. So yeah. Where's the fish? I don't know, where's the fish? So wait. Anyone here could translate Thai videos? Oof, I don't know. Not me. I gotta go to Thailand too. Thailand, India, Singapore. Yeah, there's a lot of places I want to go. Set up a warehouse in Canada for sales there. Yep, we could. Need the right business partner, need the right business licenses, need to get the right products to import into Canada. The problem is this. People clamor like, we want all your stuff in Canada. Realize you won't be able to get any meds, no live plants, and no electronics. Because they're just not going to pass certifications there. So you're basically left with like, wait, nothing that uses power, no medicines, and no plants? So like air stones, sponge filters, maybe we'll be able to do the fertilizers. Oh, like that's not a ton, right? So that's part of the problem is like, we're not even sure if we can do Easy Green yet. Like, there are people selling fertilizers from America to Canada, but not everyone likes to be 100% above board like we do. So we will only do it if it's legit, perfect, no one's getting in trouble. Like, we're trying to figure out what we want to do when it comes to, I think it's like duties and taxes and all that stuff. Like, do we pay it? Do we make the person buying pay it? Do we want them to pay on delivery? Do we want to pay them up front? And so we're trying to make sure that we don't end up with like a giant nightmare, like why'd we do this type of deal. So also we'd have to do a lot of things. So yeah. All right. Catching up a lot about Twin City Guppies. He's a good dude. Kang Lee. We're going out to dinner with him. He's coming to town. Him and his wife are on vacation, which is going to be nice. Speaking of which, I'm going to be on vacation next week. My wife and I basically taking a couple days off and hopefully unplug. I'll be in touch with my employees, but undecided if there'll be a live stream or not next week. Just trying to kind of recharge and get ready for, the big project. The big project is going to be just a whammy. And doing a lot of prep right now, spending a lot of money. And yeah. So, what about Fancy Goldfish? Tips for starting an online store? There's so many tips. It's nice to know computer programming. I'll tell you, that's going to give you a leg up. Read tons of articles. one of the best things I would say, have a fast website. And what I mean by that is find the ways to actually verify speed and make sure you're in the top 10 percentile, right? Fast, fast, fast. That's one of the biggest barriers to selling anything is slow website, clunky website, not working. You guys have probably seen the new website we have right now. It's a very similar style, but we've made a lot of tweaks to it. We're adding more automations. We're really trying to deal with as we grow. Every month we're growing, right? So if we had 1,000 customers this month, we'll have 1,100 next month, and we'll have 1,200 or 1,300 the next month. And the actuality is we're at thousands and thousands right now. We're shipping like 8,000 orders a month, and that goes up every month. And so with that comes more questions coming in, right? Like, oh, what about this? I want to buy this product. Or just even the internet. As we grow on YouTube and Facebook, hey, my fish is sick. What should I do? And so we're working on automations. What I want to do is lighten the load on Candy. Candy is doing a lot of customer service, so is my wife and other employees. I want to lighten some of that load with, there's repeat questions we get every day, like maybe 10 people a day email and go, hey, do you ship to this country? I'm hoping I can set up an automation that auto replies and goes, no, unfortunately we don't ship to that country yet, but thanks for inquiring, and take that off their plate. And then, we kind of move to the next little thing, right? Oh, my fish is sick. So it detects that, and then would send you a thing like, I need to write all the articles and the videos of like, here's how to treat ick and velvet and fin rot and internal parasites and kill flukes and anchor worm and all that. And once I build that out, then it's like, okay, here, take that. Did that help your problem? If yes, great. If no, reply to this email, and then one of us will get in touch with you. And so I'm working on those kinds of processes to help us scale as we go, because as you guys have heard many times, I don't want to give up our customer service. Well, obviously, we'll never give up customer service on the products we sell. Like if you place an order, I view that as a have-to thing. Like you can't, not all companies do though. There's plenty of companies like you call up and you're like, no matter what, oh man, they're always like, it's never business hours. Oh, I left a message, they never called back, right? Like we're never going to get to a point where we're not doing that. That's just, you have to do that in business. But all the extra stuff of like, hey, what fish should I put in my 10-gallon? We could get to a point where we won't be able to service that. And so the more I can unload on automation leaves us the same amount of time to deal with stuff that an automated bot can't answer. So, that's just coming. Just know that it's not like we want to get away from doing any work at all. It's that employees are very expensive, especially when they have fish knowledge. And I don't want to have an army of employees who don't know fish, but instead just kind of keep forwarding you on. Like, oh yeah, I'll escalate this. Oh, I'll escalate this. Oh, we'll look into this. Oh, yes. That's just until you eventually give up. We don't want to be that, which a lot of companies kind of do. Like, let's put them in this cycle where they'll just go away. So, yeah, that's kind of coming, and it's out of trying to do things better for you guys, not out of trying to get out of doing work. So, yes. I made a $90 order getting into plants. I love the online store. Great. Glad to hear it, Kirby. There's sub-optimizations. I work with a lot of developers. Like, I'll code a little bit myself, but when it gets into their code, I like to have them optimize it. So, like, right now we're trying to bring the smart bar, which is like your shipping bar that updates every time you add an item to the cart. It tells you how close you are to shipping, free shipping. We want to move that back to the top. But it doesn't play nice with our mobile browser. So if you're on your phone, it covers up the menu. That can't work for us. So until we can get that fixed, it has to sit at the bottom for now. By the way, we did change shipping. Some people kind of freaked out about that. Our minimum shipping went from $5 to $7, $6.99 technically. So people freaked out. But we also brought minimum free shipping down from $69.99 down to $49. So we went up $2, went down $20. And that is because with our everyday kind of low pricing strategy, we were losing money when people only order one item. So if you can do us a favor, if you're ever going to order one item, if you order like just any other item, we'll actually make some money. At the moment, if you buy one like plant from us and that's all you do and you pay $7 shipping, we actually lose money just because it costs us more than $7 to ship it. We have to put supplies on it to keep it from getting hurt on the way there. and we have to pay someone to pack it. The box costs something, so it's just one of those things that I'm not saying you have to, but just know that if you order that plus anything else, we then might make 50 cents instead of being a losing scenario. And you can see at $5 we were losing, everything was at least $2.50 at a loss, because the minimum is $7.40 to ship something to you guys. And so we had to get it closer to that. And my logical brain was like, we're going to charge more there. I feel guilty, so let's make it cheaper on the free shipping. Because if you guys order a bunch of items, there's obviously profit there, and we can use that profit to absorb that shipping cost. On the low end is where we can't do that. And it was just, as we get to thousands and thousands of orders, when you start looking at it, you're like, wait, 1,000 of these orders? People only ordered one item? Well, then we'd lost $2,000. Like, that's not good. And so now it's like, okay, 1,000. Okay, well, we only lost 50 cents an order. Like, it's only $500. Like, it's not horrible, but it's not good. So we're caught in that struggle of scale and all that. And June, some USPS prices go up again. We're talking with more carriers, going, how do we get the price down? The problem is we can ship stuff to you guys way cheaper. We just can't ship it fast. And plants don't do well. Like, can you imagine the summer? Like, oh yeah, it's going to take 14 days for that plant to get there. Like, that doesn't work. That's why a lot of online retailers don't sell live things, so they can just ship it ultra cheap shipping. But we have a blended thing, and yeah. Cram says, I feel bad for my small orders. No, don't feel bad. You didn't know. Like, that's on us. And that being said, there was only a window of what is it? We're the 6 month. There was a window of about 4 months where that was an issue, because before they raised the prices, we were doing okay, right? At $5, we were basically doing okay when you bought one plant or one item. But then for that 4 months, I was kind of focused on other things, and I didn't realize, like, wait a second, we're actually losing money here. Like, and there's always loss leaders, and lots of other companies will sell things at a loss as well. But as I run my business, I try to not do anything that is, inherently built in to lose money. Like, if I'm going to lose money, I'd rather give you guys things like, hey, buy this, get a free hat, that type of thing, instead of like, oh, I didn't even know I was losing that money. So. Ricardo says, thank you so much for the videos. Can you make more videos about fish for beginners? I'm going to buy my first aquarium in November, and I would like to have fish at school. I did film some more, like, 10-gallon and 20-gallon tank setups, and some other, like, I think I did a 29-gallon and a 40-gallon and a 50-gallon and all that kind of stuff. We're getting the B-roll footage for it. And so that series could help you. I do have, like, top 10 fish for beginners and plants for beginners. I will sprinkle that stuff in. Right now I'm in a mode of, like, all the fish farms, apparently, because, like, I keep getting invited to them, right? But it's kind of cycles and that kind of stuff. And yeah, so definitely, will I do more in the future? Yes. Will I do it by November? I don't know yet. I hope to. I try to get, my real goal is make a video for super hardcore nerds, make a video for the beginner, make a video for goldfish people, make an angelfish video, like, kind of just hit all these segments that I'm relatively knowledgeable about and that I enjoy, and try to make good content for everyone. A perfect example, like, the mods and Jimmy and I were all laughing that we released that video. What video was it? Neighborhood fish farm, and it was only like 3 minutes, and half the people were super angry it wasn't a long video. And then the other half the people were happy because they hate long videos. And so no matter what we do, whether we make a long video or a short video, there's always people are going to have preferences. We make a video about African cichlids, but I like planet tanks, So, realize that not every single video is really meant to be consumed by every single person. It's great if you do, but we're trying to have a broad reach and educate on multiple levels and stuff like that. So it's difficult to do. I actually think it's easier if you're like, all I do is bettas, or all I do is goldfish, or all I do is African cichlids. Like, if that's all you do, like, we focus on only freshwater, so that's still easier than everything, right? But it still makes it a little bit difficult to keep your audience, intrigued. Half the people want more videos with Dean about breeding. Half people want plant videos. People want longer. People want shorter, etc. All right. I always try to order several items each time. Figured it saved me on shipping. Glad to hear it also helps me with profits. Yes. we've scaled, like, I feel like at this point in my career, the people that have been watching for a long time, you know that I'm serious when, as you guys buy more, I will bring the price down because I've done that. You know, we've got Easy Green down to $15. We've got some of the other fertilizers down to $10, right? Or maybe 13. I don't remember where we're at right now, but the goal is 10, right? And so that as we scale, you know, if you guys buy a ton, I can go back to the companies and go, hey, people are buying a ton. How do we save money in production? Can we buy bigger volumes? What can we do? And then I pass that along, right? And we're always caught in the middle of like, okay, shipping's going up. Our buy price on some companies is going up, you know, because like medicines are real hairy right now. But, you know, if possible, we will always lower the price for you as long as we can stay profitable. Now, we have to stay profitable because if we don't stay profitable, we go out of business, right? So, you know, the goal is we don't expect like McDonald's to never make a profit. They won't exist anymore. But we want them to make a reasonable profit. We want their employees to make a decent wage, and we want our food to taste good, and we want it when we want it, right? And if we can make that happen, it works for all of us. And that's what we try and do. And, you know, people were wondering why our plant prices went up. Well, we brought them way far down. Then we sold way more plants, and then the farms couldn't keep up, and they had to hire more people to make more plants. Then they said, hey, your plant price is going up because we had to hire more people, which meant we have to raise the price back up. And I think most plants went up by $1 is all we had to do. But that again brought the needle back into like, okay, we're not losing money. We're making a little bit of money so we can go do these trips and we can do these things and we can, you know, invest in the next product, engineer the best thing, the next new thing, and keep it going. So, any consideration of selling immersed plants like pothos and lucky bamboo? Lucky bamboo possibly, not so much on the pothos because you can kind of get that at any Home Depot or Lowe's. I mean, you can get bamboo a lot of places too, but like a 4-inch bamboo we can probably do, but we're not necessarily racing to do that. We desperately need more storage for plant tanks. So, yeah. Ooh, it's 7:03. This tonight flew by with all those pictures. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Ooh, it's 83. We're raised. I should just know what time it is by the temperature. But yeah, so I'm gonna call it a night because I know I've got more work I got to do. I got to get videos lined up because we're gone, or I'm gone for part of the week next week, and I want to make sure we're on top of that. And yeah, thanks for showing up. Share, like, subscribe, support us by buying if you choose to. We're very appreciative of that. And know that the hotter it gets, the less money we make, just because less people buy. So, you know, if you're on that fence, you're like, wait a second, I remember summer's the hardest time. Let me place that order. Helps us a ton. And I'll keep making as many videos as I can. And apparently trying not to burp on camera. So, all right, see you guys. What videos I got coming up? I think an unboxing. I don't know what else. If we can get the backup footage, we're trying to get one of the fish farms out this Sunday, but I don't want to release it without the backup footage because then it's like, oh, dang it, now we got the backup footage. Could have done it. So we're waiting on some of that extra footage. So either way, there'll be videos. I hope you enjoy them, and I try my best. So have a good night, eat some tacos, and don't get too hot out there. Whew.